Good evening, folks. Welcome to Isshinryu Today podcast. It's your Sunday evening. It is raining cats and dogs here in Lexington, North Carolina. But here we are. So if we have a lagging problem, please excuse us because there's some bad storms. It was beautiful yesterday. Sun was shining and warm, and then today we woke up and it started raining last night, but storms moved in. It got a little chilly, but welcome to Isshinryu Today. We're doing part two of the Code 6, and we got into some samurai secrets and things that we were sharing from the Ultimate Fighting Art, the Isshinryu Karate Ultimate Fighting Art by Master Harold Long and Tim McGee. And we're really diving into this study, and we're so glad and hope you'll join us. If you're watching on YouTube and you will open up your comments and allow StreamYard, then you'll be able to see our link for you to come on to the show and share your knowledge with us as well. We'd love to have you. But open up your comment section so you can see everybody's comments. Because at the end of the show, we do some questions and comments, and yours is very valuable. But thank you for joining us with us today. We want to get started with a few shout outs. First shout outs, of course, goes to our founder of our style, Isshinryu Karate, Grandmaster Tatsuo Shimabuku. Grandmaster Tatsuo Shimabuku, thank you for everything that you've done to spread this wonderful art. Hey, Richard, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Samuel Sadiq, hello, Sensei. Kyle and Rebecca, hey, Sam, how you doing, buddy? Great to hear from you in Washington, Seattle, Washington, or somewhere close to there. I don't want to, but great to hear from you guys. Thank you for tuning into the program. We're going to dive into some more study here in a little bit. We're just doing our shout outs, guys. First shout out, of course, goes to our founder, Tatsuo Shimabuku. Our second shout out goes to our second generation student. Our first generation students that brought Isshinryu to the United States. Thank you guys so much for number one, for serving our country to fight for our freedom. And number two, thank you so much for bringing Isshinryu back to the United States and being obedient and spreading the culture. I think is what Tatsuo wanted to spread the most, but spreading his culture through his style of karate of self-defense, known as the Isshinryu system. So thank you so much to our first generation students, and then again, thank you to Tacoma, Washington. That's where Sam's from. I'm sorry, I said Seattle, but Tacoma, Washington. And I think that's where Steve Armstrong opened his dojo at when he came back, was Tacoma, Washington. And then a shout out to our second generation students who really, really took our system and spread it abroad to many different places, even out of the country. Some of our second generation students don't live here in the United States, but they're abroad that trained under some of the first generation students who trained directly under the founder. So thank you, second generation students, for spreading Isshinryu Karate. And we pray that our third generation, fourth generation, and generations after you are doing a great job at preserving and protecting that lineage and heritage in which you came from. And hopefully we can spread it better, even further as time goes on, so that we can keep and preserve our Isshinryu system that we dearly love so much. It has taught me so much in my life, and it's an everyday life experience for me. So just to confirm that, yes, he did establish Isshinryu Karate in Tacoma, Washington. That come from Samuel Sadiq out of Tacoma, Washington. Thank you, Sam, for sharing that with us this evening. So want to give a shout out to a couple of people tonight as well too. I want to give a shout out to my sensei, Grandmaster Phil Little. On a personal note, I talk to him not daily, but weekly, and sometimes 3 or 4 times during the week. And he's always got intuitive insight to make me a better person. And I want to thank him for that, because the lessons that he taught me is what I'm sharing with you guys on this podcast. He's the whole reason that I'm here, is to spread Isshinryu Karate and my lineage under the things that he taught me and shared with me when I was coming up as a student. And I want to share them with you. So a special shout out to my sensei, Hanshi Phil Little. out of Anderson, South Carolina. I love you very much, and thank you very much for sharing with me your knowledge throughout these years. I'm forever indebted and grateful. And then I want to give a shout out to Rebecca. She does a wonderful job setting up this program, inviting guests. And i- i- if you don't come on the show, that's fine. But we would love to have you on the show to do an interview so you could share your journey. You don't have to just come on one time. You can come on every time we're on. I don't care. The more people we have on the platform, the better. We have a better system here
Mm-hmm.
with StreamYard and YouTube and the way we can broadcast Isshinryu today now than we've ever had. So we've got an opportunity to really discuss some great stuff for our future students that coming up, and um, I believe we're kind of obligated to do that. Ours did us before us; they did it, so we kind of have an obligation. But anyway, want to give a shout out to those people there because she really works behind the scenes and keep her in your prayers, guys. This week, if you as you do your prayers, Miss Rebecca has done it training. I'm assuming she done it training, but she trains daily and she's kind of torn a muscle in her back. We spent yesterday at the hospital and it's been hurting her for about 2 weeks, pretty bad. So, but yeah, here she is today, sitting up and. She didn't take her pain
Right.
medication that they put her on for the hospital because she wanted to do the show, and then she's going to take it after the program. So, thank you, Miss Rebecca, for everything you do for this show because it looks beautiful, the backgrounds and all that stuff. That's all due to her. But thank you for doing that. All right, I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes. I'm going to bring on her for announcements. Um, she's going to talk about some events that's going on. She might be talking about people's web designs and things. Some people that have reached out to us to kind of promote on the show, and
Ah,
we're
yes.
honored to do that. So, Miss Rebecca, I'm going to turn it over to you. So take off with the announcements.
Take also like Master Kyle Forrest had said to apologize because on my end I see us buffering, but you know, um, with my other little handy dandy thing here, it doesn't really look like we buffer so much. So I like to keep an eye on our Facebook group while we're going live just to make sure that it's actually going through okay for all of you ladies and gentlemen that actually watch because that's what we want to do. We don't want I don't want interruptions. I want you to be able to see everything good and hear us clearly too. But so, for my first announcement that I do every podcast, and I'm excited, is September 14th, 2024. Circle of Masters will be down in Anderson, South Carolina. That will be hosted by Grandmaster Phil Little, my Papa San. I love him so much. And everybody, try to get there. Please try to get there because it will be a day that you will not forget. There's the different instructors that come in earlier in the morning and they teach really informative and knowledge things. And then after that, there's a fun little competition that everybody gets to do. And but that will be September 14th, 2024. It'll be at 201 East Reed Road in Anderson, South Carolina, and that is the Circle of Masters. And as soon as we find get like a hold of a link or however it is that you guys need to pre-register or whatnot, if that's what Mr. Little is going to do, we will be definitely sharing that, and then you guys will know. And let's see, as far as if anybody wants to be a live guest on here, I know I've been posting a link to where there's actually a link to be on in the studio during this podcast. It's in the comments. It should have gone to the Facebook group page because I know you guys can see when I put in the chat box. You guys can see. It definitely goes to YouTube. I've seen it in the YouTube as well. If you are watching from YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit that like button, and show us some love because we love it, love it, love it. We're trying to gain our audience on there as well. If you're watching us from a Facebook page, the Isshinryu Today podcast group, it's a free group. I made it free. You don't have to ask or request to join. You just come on in. Just come on in. And the new members that come in, I see you. And then I put you down in there so that everybody else can see you too, because we want as many as we can get in there as well. Mr. Kyle actually has a Facebook page. It's an Isshinryu Today Facebook page. You guys are welcome to join that too. We try to share the podcasts on that as well when the upcoming podcasts are coming. And let's see. I'm trying. One of our black belts has a business that she's getting started. She can print flyers. She can make your merch. Hoodies, t-shirts, jackets, whatever. If you would like to have some really awesome work, like your flyers for your events and stuff like that, I believe she's got her YouTube page. It's Tiffany's Dojo Designs. That's Tiffany Jones Ward, I believe her name is, the last name. Because
That's
I just
correct.
call her Tiffany, so I don't pay attention to everybody's last name. But yes, get up with her because she really does some awesome work. She's done some awesome work for our dojo, and going to do it in the future as well. But I'm thinking that's all that I have today. I can't think, but yeah, I think that's it. But definitely, yeah, we're just glad you're here. Back to you, Mr. Forrest. I think I'm at loss for words now.
All right, guys. Well, if you'd like to join along and read along, if you have this book, this is the book that I'll be reading from. It's called Isshinryu Karate, The Ultimate Fighting Art, and it's by Harold Long and Tim McGee. And we'll continue our study with the Codes of Isshinryu Karate. This is part 2 of Code 6. We had a great discussion last week about the Code 6. Um, and so we had to do a part 2. I got a little excited about this code. This is one of my favorite codes. The time to strike is when opportunity presents itself. If you see me moving around or looking down, I'm reading my notes and reading from the book because I want to give you a direct lineage line of what Harold Long said in the book, and then discuss a little bit about how that has come true over our lifespans and how we can preserve that to pass on to the future lineages to come. So, a quick recap of what we were talking about um, in the codes was, of course, we covered 1 through 6, and on 6 we finished up the other evening where we were talking about the samurai secrets for the conduct of your life. And this is all dealing with the time to strike is when the opportunity presents itself. So I'm going to do a recap of the first secret, the samurai secrets of conduct for your life. And if my light gets bright, I apologize. I cannot read this book in the dark, and I'm trying to get my lighting right. I do have a new camera coming so that the camera will be a lot more clearer when it gets here. But the secret one was one resolution. I'm going to read to you what Master Long has written in his book. Set your sights on one high goal and resolve to reach it. Each moment you are making a resolution, and the resolutions adds up to a lifetime. Try to perfect one resolution in your lifetime. Guys, that is critical words. As you know, we talked a bunch on that one last week. But I encourage you to review last week's show and really listen to what we discussed in that conversation, because setting yourself your goals is one thing, But following through to resolve those goals is another. And it may take a lifetime achievement. It may take a lifetime to achieve or resolve the resolution that you have before you. Secret number 2 was concentrate on the here and now. The day of crisis should be the same as today if you have prepared. This is why we do this show, so that we can prepare our students, we can prepare ourselves, we can prepare ourselves as a society. And we got to talking about how COVID kind of come in on us, and we had to depend on our training and our families and resolving the resolutions of becoming separated as families due to society's force of us to have to work because of the economy and things like that. But as our families, it separated our duck joes. COVID kind of separated everyone to where we couldn't see each other physically, but we could hear each other. And then we got to the platform like this to where now we could have, even if it happened, and it did happen, to where we could actually kind of see each other and stay in connection with each other. And it opened up a field of connections all over the world. And I hope we'll continue to take advantage of that process as far as still being able to train. Um, the third secret, the samurai secrets for the conduct of your life that Harold Long says, is take the long view of your resolution. So it goes back to the resolution. It goes back to setting that goal and the resolutions that may add up to a lifetime. And we talked about many years. There was a number of age 50 in this conversation. But this is something now he gives. And I feel like this first secret in the samurai secrets for the conduct of your life, one resolution, all these kind of, as we go through them, kind of refer back to that secret number one resolution. And then it gives a list of elements on how to achieve your resolution, on how to achieve your goal, how to resolve and conquer and survive the things that may stand in your way along your path, in your training, in your physical life, and in your life in general, as far as your goals and things. So this is elemental. He gives a lot of elements in this next secret. It says, become well liked in order to achieve your resolution. It says, become well liked in order to achieve your resolution. That's the secret. Then there's elements under there that we're going to talk about tonight as far as code 6. Now, the time to strike is when opportunity presents itself. What does this have to do with that? Well, if you become well liked, people seem to trust you. And when people trust you, they start sharing things. And some things that they can't resolve on their own, they may need your help with. Well, that's an opportunity for you to strike. And by doing so, you could be well liked. So, what I mean by that is, in order to achieve your resolutions, become well liked. Well, I'm going to read some elements on how you can become well liked. To become well liked, you must. Now, Harold Long in his book said you must do these things: work hard, throw yourself into your job without abandon. That was the number one element that's listed under become well liked in order to achieve your resolution. Work hard, throw yourself into your job. Throw yourself into your job with abandon. So, folks, what I'm reading here is it's hard work. You have to commit to something. And the biggest thing you have to do is resolve the problem of you standing in your own way. So the time to strike is now. Opportunity present itself, obviously, because you're here with us today. The time to strike is now. The time to make changes is now. The time to work hard is now. The time to throw yourself into your job with abandon is now. It's now. And it's to do it wholeheartedly. Isshin, one heart way. It's to do it with everything that you have. If you want the most out of your training, you got to put the most into the training. To get a true understanding of something, you have to experience all the elements that are there in order to completely understand it. What I'm talking to you about is something personal tonight. You have to understand yourself. Number one, you have to understand what your goal is for yourself. What do you want for yourself? Number two, how do I achieve this goal for myself? And number three is what is all the elements that's going to be involved for me to be a grand champion on the grandest stage, a top leader in my workforce, a recognition in my community I live in, an example for the youth. What type of goals do you have for yourself? And maybe these goals are ones that I'm talking about. But in order to do that, you got to be well liked. But in order to be well liked, you got to do these things. So you may have to change some things about yourself. You may have to like things that you don't personally like. That may be a weakness in your life that you need to strike out. The opportunity is there. You may want to be well liked in your community so that people will accept the message that you're trying to give. They may accept the training. No one wants to go to really an instructor that they don't like, and maybe the instructor is not involved in some of the things that the students are, and they don't really like them. It's not their cup of tea. Uh, but try to understand them and try to help them and try to do it whether you like it or not. It says work hard, throw yourself into your job with abandon. Number two, the elemental part of that is enjoy your work. Enjoy your work. So if you run a karate school, or let's say it's just you and you don't run a karate school and you're just training by yourself. To be well liked, you must enjoy what you do, and you will display that in your actions. Not so much your words, but your actions. You will you will be seen. It's better to be seen, or it's better to be heard than seen anyway. So make sure that you, as a karateka, make sure you as an instructor, make sure you as a student, and make sure you as a child enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy helping someone else. Enjoy being liked by people. Love people. Care for people. Look, this world's hard enough as it is to be, and I'm not preaching it. I'm not preaching at you. Don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you, if you want to be successful, samurai secrets for the conduct of life. Harold Long said that we had to do some things, and they were elemental. That we got elements that are involved in this. So we must enjoy our work, but don't enjoy it too much that you become. And this is me saying this, that you become arrogant, because the next element says be humble. So I'm going to cover this. Work hard. No one can work harder than you if you allow yourself to do. The time to strike is now. Get up, do your work. Do your work, but make sure that you have the tools to do your work. Make sure you understand your work. Make sure you understand all the elements that's involved on how to do your work. Now, I'm not talking about work because we're going back next week. And yeah, I don't really enjoy the work. but I enjoy going to work and I enjoy what I do and the people that are there. And that's what makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable. And it's also a challenge to say, can I do more the next day? And if I do, uh, people will like that. And if they like that and I'm enjoying it and I'm working hard, and I've thrown myself into that job, then people like me. And it says to be well liked in order to achieve your resolution. So, what is my resolution? My resolution for myself is not to be one good thing at one good place. My resolution for myself is to be the best person I can possibly be in everything that I do. And that takes a lot of hard work. That takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of throwing yourself in your job with abandon, which means I must abandon the sacrifice. I must sacrifice for others before myself. And that's what makes a good karateka. You do all this training for self-defense. But let me ask you a question. And this is a question that you can answer, or it's a question you can think about, or it's a question that you can discuss later on with other people. It's an art of self-defense, but whose self are we defending? Am I doing all this training and all this hard work to defend myself? Or am I doing all this to defend someone else's self? Maybe someone needs to see that my training or hear my teachings. Um, Maybe that's what's going to save their life. So maybe I did all this training to teach one technique that could save someone else's life. I'd like to think so. And that's what I want for myself is, yeah, I demonstrate a lot of self-defense everywhere I go. I try to, and my number one goal, no matter where I go, is I want everybody there to pick up something that's for them that they can protect themselves with, whether it's mental, spiritually, or physically. And I could throw myself in there a little bit more. I believe I could throw myself in there. I should throw it in completely, and shame on me for not doing that. But I try. But we must never become complacent. Harold Long says, "Be humble, especially among our equals or your equals. Be humble, especially among your equals." That's an interesting statement. That's an interesting statement because the only person that's better of us is God. So we're all equals. And I'm talking as a human race here. I'm talking about it as a human society. It says, be humble, especially among your equals. There's no one greater than the other. Everybody's strong in certain categories, but the resolution is for you to be strong in every category, but be humble among your equals. That means be humble in everybody. Be humble to everybody. Don't carry yourself as arrogant. Don't carry yourself as a know it all. We all learn something. We all don't know everything. There's always somebody, you know, I'm not one of these guys, but an appliance guy. Okay. Well, I'm not going to pretend to know more than him and fixing appliances. That's his thing. That's what he enjoys doing. He's enjoying his work. He's thrown himself into it. He's took the time to learn his credentials to be an appliance person, and he's a better man for the job than I am, and I need to realize that. So for me to argue with him or say, well, that's his cup of tea, but I have a cup of tea as well, and we're equals because he's strong in this area. I'm strong in this area. Now we're equals. We can share that together. Could you imagine if both of us come together and I learned to fix appliances and he learned to do karate and become an instructor in karate and then I learned to become an instructor in appliances? I would have to give credit to who taught me. He had to give credit to who taught him. We're equal And now we have two others that were influenced by both of us instead of one of us. Think about that statement. Just think about that. That's how we propel our training into the future. Okay. Here's a hard one. Here is a hard one. The next element in becoming well liked in order to achieve your resolution. Let's go back to number one before I get into this. Work hard. Throw yourself into your job with abandon. That means the opportunity has presented itself. It's time to strike. You got to get in there. You got to work hard. Time to strike is now. You must go. Whether it be kata, whether it be weapons, whether it be kumite, or whether hopefully it's all of that self defense. Hopefully it's everything. The history, the knowledge, the skill, everything that you can possibly do for someone else. And be humble about it. Enjoy it. And then you got to do something that's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people. This next one is, I'm telling you, this next one's probably going to blow the roof off the internet. Believe it or not. Instead of tearing each other down, instead of finding out everyone's problems, instead of finding out all the stuff they're doing wrong, you would have a shorter list probably if you complimented them on the things they're doing right. It says compliment other people. He said that he's compliment other people. That's number fourth element into becoming well liked in order to achieve your resolution. If you want to achieve your resolution, you got to be well liked. In order to be well liked, you got to compliment other people. Huh? Hey, it's home. Guilty. Yeah, I don't compliment other people like I should. I try to, but compliment other people. Hey, man, your kata looked great. How can we make it look better? That's better than your kata looks terrible. You need to fix that. No, compliment. Your kata looks great. How can we make it look better? How can we put more into it? How can we jump in there a little deeper and I'll jump in there with you and we can propel this thing to the next level. Maybe they're getting stuck. Maybe they're having a hard time. Maybe they don't understand it. Teach them how to understand. Teach them how to compliment others. Complimenting other people. Compliment other people. How hard is that? How hard is to say, hey, Miss Rebecca, your hair looks good today. Yeah. To me, for people to compliment me really makes me enjoy what I'm doing. It will make you enjoy things. It will make you happy. It will bring a good feeling. The manner of drinking or spitting is either hard or soft, but a combination of both. All our codes are leading up to these secrets of the samurai, and they're following in order here. If you think about this, compliment other people. If you do those four, you'll be able to do the fifth one. The fifth one is broke down into elements beyond the elements. The fifth secret, and I hope you're writing this down, but if you're not, get you a little notebook and a pen and write this down because these aren't my words. These are words from Master Long and Tim McGee and people before us, and I'm sure they were lessons from Tatsuo Shimabuku passed down to my sensei Hanshi Phil Little. I promise you they are. I promise you they are because this is how he teaches me. He compliments me. He corrects me. He's my sensei. He can tell me things. But you know what? He enjoys it. And he's definitely put in the work. He's put in the work, not just with me, but for everyone. And he does it in anything that he does. Listen, I'll tell you a little story real quick, okay? And it can be elementary and elemental, but all at the same time. My sensei wants to be the best at everything he does. If it's $1, he wants that whole dollar, but he wants every cent in that dollar to stand for something. He breaks it down to the penny. It could be something elementary to you and I, but to him it's of great importance. No matter what he does, he does it with 100%. And he does it immediately, he does it responsibly, and he does it professionally. If it's just a call to tell me hello, he will make a point that he gets a hold of me and says, hello. I just wanted to call you and say hello. He will call you until you answer that phone. He's going to say hello because he's wanting to meet that resolution and he's wanting to make sure that I'm happy and he enjoys that. He gets enjoyment out of that. It's humbling and I'm appreciative that he took the time out to call me and say hello. That's complimentary in itself. I'm telling you guys, we take little things for granted. Our training, our training. Do we quit when can we do we have a little bit left? Do we have a little bit more left in us? I'm gonna do it one more time. I can't do it no more, Sensei. Do it one more time. For yourself, do it one more time. For the student sitting there watching you, do it one more time. You don't want to quit. When you're on that street, you can't quit. You can't unless you want to die. You have two choices, live or die. You have to continue on, but you have to prepare yourself for that moment when it happens. And then you have to look for the opportunity. And when the opportunity is there, you have to take it. Even if that means to run, even if that means to call the authorities, even if that means to communicate the situation to someone else. By God, communicate it. End it. You had an opportunity. Strike. Okay? Compliment other people. Number 5, the hardest one on the list. The hardest one on the list. These are secrets of samurais, folks, warriors. They didn't think they had emotions. They're warriors. Well, they're warriors in all aspects of life. Are you a warrior? Are you a karateka? Are you associated with? Or are you a participant? Think about those questions. Number 5, act with dignity and calmness by element number 1, observing the rules of etiquette and propriety. Number 2, never seem too busy for others. I am guilty of that one because I stay busy all the time. 24/7, I'm telling you. Well, not 24/7. I do sleep a couple hours. But never be too busy for others and observing the rules of etiquette and propriety. Act with dignity and calmness. How do you act with dignity and calmness? By observing the rules and etiquette of propriety. Never seem to be too busy for others. Humbleness, integrity, loyalty, honesty. If you are a USIKA member and you get the little card that aren't you little signs with your name on it that says that you're a member, if you get that card and you'll turn it over and you'll look at that patch, on that patch, our number 4 things on that patch is honesty, integrity, humility, humbleness, loyalty. Observing the rules of etiquette. Those are good rules to have for your etiquette, professionalism. It says compliment others. It says put others before self. Yeah, you're training yourself, but you're training yourself for others. Not only, I'm not saying you're doing the job for anybody else, but you're doing an example for others to follow. You could be the reason why someone quits training in martial arts, and you could be the reason why they get out of it altogether. You could be the reason why they quit. You could be the reason why they chose other things in their life that are not so good for them. All because of your example, your work ethic. You didn't compliment people. Maybe your attitude, you're too arrogant. Maybe you didn't give. You just took all the time. The time to strike was an opportunity presents itself. The time to strike and help someone. The time, let's take strike out and put help. The time to help is when opportunity presents itself. The time to love is when opportunity presents itself. The time for integrity is when opportunity presents itself. You see what's going on here? You're just replacing a word. It says the time is now, the time. If you read that backwards, the time to strike was an opportunity to present itself. Opportunity presents itself. Time is now. Opportunity has presented itself. It presents itself all the time. You just got to recognize it. This show, this broadcast, these secrets are helping you conduct your life so that you can train better, so you can get more out of your training. You can understand the ingredients that goes into your training. The work's already been done. All you got to do is accept it, but more importantly, pass it on to someone else. Okay? Never seem too busy for others. Here's a hard one. Here's a hard one. To become well liked in order to achieve your resolution that you have set before yourself with the other secrets of the samurai, so that you'll know when opportunity presents itself, you must be well liked. Check this one out. Check this number 6 out. And if you're reading along, you're already ahead of me. But if you're not reading along, you're just sitting on the edge of your seat waiting. Okay, so I'm going to disclose this one. Okay, this is, I'm telling you, this one right here is hard. And I know you're saying get on with it already because you're bored to death. But I'm getting ready to say it because this one I really want you to pay attention to. So now that I have your attention, number 6, in order to be well liked, you must invite. Invite. It doesn't say wait for it. Listen to this. It says invite it, welcome it, enjoy it, send out notifications, invite criticism of yourself from others. Whoo! Now you see why I was holding on to that one for so long. Invite criticism of yourself from others. Invite it. So I'd say, Miss Rebecca, man, I rocked that kata. What do you think? Man, I did an awesome job. What do you think I could do better? Invite that criticism.
Mhm.
Don't reject it. Invite it because that tells you where you missed the work hard, what work you left out, what you're overlooked. One of the elements that wasn't there. If you will put these codes that we're talking about in this show into your presentation and into your training, you will be untouchable. And when you're untouchable, people notice you. And when people notice you, when they recognize you and they notice you, they will look at your character more than your performance. And if they like you, they will promote you. You won't have to do nothing. But you have to invite criticism of yourself from others. You have to invite that. Number 7, do not appear as someone of great ability. There's one we could stay on for a while because people that appear of someone of great ability usually are not. Do not appear as someone of great ability, lest people's expectation, lest people's expectations rise higher than your performance. Whoo! Did y'all catch that? I'm gonna read it again. I'm gonna read it again all together. Do not appear as someone of great ability, lest people's expectations rise higher than your performance. I'll let you think about that one yourself. Because if you appear as someone of great ability, then all these other elements does not even matter to you. Nothing matters to you. And nothing will ever matter to you unless you come down off of that cloud and meet people's expectations of your performance. Now, number 6, if I did number 7, if I did appear of someone of great ability and my expectation rose higher than my performance, then number 6 wouldn't be a play. Invite criticism of yourself from others. So what I'm telling you guys is never get to the point to where I got it all. I got everything. I understand the whole system. Time to go to something else. Well, why are you gonna go into something else when you hadn't even finished this one? You hadn't completed the job here yet. You hadn't completed the task of your resolution. You haven't took the time to strike when the opportunity presented itself. You haven't done the things that you needed to do for yourself and for others. Um, secret, persist in the essentials. That's the next secret. Persist in the essentials. And we've been on here 46 minutes now. We still have a little bit more time. But if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let us know in the comment section. If you'd like to be on the show through our question and comment section, go ahead and sign in on the comments area and I can pop you up on the screen to discuss this. The next secret, I'm trying to get my lighting right so I can see, so hang on just a moment. Persist in the essentials. Persist in the essentials. What is persist in the essentials? Let's see what this says. It says to be on guard in word and deed to avoid even minor failures. Be on guard in word and deed to avoid even minor failures. Remember, I was talking about the minor things that Hunchy Little was talking to me about, even the the littlest things that seem so elementary. Be on guard in word. He wanted to hear the word. He wanted to hear and say hello. Just to say hello. Folks, I missed this somewhere. I missed this. And deed to avoid even minor failures. Even minor failures. But in a major undertaking, do not worry about minor failures, lest you lose heart and forget the essentials. The essentials is everything we've talked about up to this point. But don't let the minor things hold you back from great accomplishments. You're going to have bumps in the road. It's going to be tough. There's going to be obstacles to overcome. Take the good from those obstacles and help it propel you to where you're trying to go. Don't get caught up and hung up on the minor things. So what? Somebody called you a punk. Okay. Move on. Move on. That's a minor thing. I'll take that. I'm inviting criticism from myself anyway. Maybe there's something about me I need to fix so that people don't think I'm a punk anymore. Okay, thank you, brother. I appreciate your help in my journey. In my journey. Take large matters lightly. That's the next secret. In your lifetime, you will probably encounter only 2 or 3 serious problems. Some may have more. And with society the way it is, it may be a daily thing. But during this time when it was written, it says in your lifetime, you will probably encounter only 2 or 3 serious problems. Plan for those problems daily by taking the small matters seriously. Whoo! How do we go through the hard times? We got to go through the minor times. We've got to go through those, taking the small matters seriously so that you can take the big matters lightly. If you take the small matters seriously, the matter of calling me and saying hello seriously, then when something big happens, you can take that lightly. You've prepared yourself. Samuel Sadiq has a question. I'd like to take a minute and answer that. I have a question. Do you think that the 8 Codes of Isshinryu Karate is the scroll of Kumite that Sakyo Tatsu Shimabuku had? In my opinion, yes, sir. I absolutely believe that. Yes, sir. I do. I really do. I believe that. Now, there's some other instructors that are probably a little bit more informative that could probably share that with you, share that with you. But in my opinion, and what I've experienced through my training, absolutely so. Yes, sir. I do think so. And that's a great question. That's a great question. Um, In your lifetime, you will probably encounter only 2 or 3 serious problems. Plan for those problems daily by taking the small matters seriously so that you can take the big problems lightly. Whew, man, that touches home. The last one in the secrets is self-discipline. You're welcome, sir. The last secret is self-discipline. Discipline yourself daily in some categories, in your thoughts, in your words, and action, so that your character is pure. My God. Know your strengths and weaknesses and learn how to display your pride, for it is like a sword displayed too often. People dread it, never displayed it. People treat it and you lightly. I'm going to read that one more time because that's the last secret. Okay. It says, discipline yourself daily in thought, word, and action so that your character is pure. Know your strengths and weaknesses and learn how to display your pride, for it is like a sword. Displayed too often, people dread it. Never displayed, people treat it and you lightly. There's a fine line there. That's neither hard nor soft. You don't walk around all prideful, but you don't walk around all shallowful either. There's a fine medium line. It has to be balanced. It has to circulate through your training. All these have to circulate through you, one body, like heaven and earth. It has to circulate like the moon and the sun. It has to either be hard or soft. It has to be balanced. A person's unbalanced is almost the same as a weight. The time to strike was an opportunity presents itself. You are the presenter. You have to look for that opportunity to present yourself, but in doing so, you have to keep all these elements so that you're not displaying your pride, but you're sharing your knowledge and pride in what you do. There's a difference. There's a difference. I'm proud of where I come from. I display that in my actions. That's not self-pride. That is me being proud of my resolution that I threw myself in to work hard to accomplish these feats. All of these codes that we've talked about over the weeks have come to play in these samurai secrets for a couple of reasons. Number one, to make you train harder. Number two, to make you better at what you're doing when you are training. But more importantly, presenting the time to strike is when opportunity presents itself. You're the opportunity. If you put the time to strike is when Kyle Forrest presents himself. Rebecca presents herself. Samuel presents himself. How does he present himself? Does he present himself as some egotistical, whatever? Or does he accept criticism from people and he presents it humble? And his presentation is to help others and not hurt others. There's pride in that. There's pride in that. But if you display it like a sword and command people, people will treat that lightly. They ain't got no use for that. I hope this has helped, guys. with the codes. We will be moving on next week to code number 7. But I really wanted to touch on this code, the 6th code of Isshinryu Karate, one of my favorite codes, and you can see why I put a lot into this one. And look, I'm just speaking on experience. Some of you may not agree. That's okay. Some of you may agree. That's okay too. But one thing you have to say is all of us learned. Thank you guys for listening to Isshinryu Today podcast. God bless you. Good night.